I did yoga.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Tammy Peterson started to open up to Bishop Barron and basically explains her upbringing. And there is a specific moment when Bishop Barron thinks he needs to speak up. Let's go ahead and watch this clip, and then I will see you at the end.
I did yoga, 13, and then all my siblings were gone, and my mom and dad didn't go in anyways, and so I quit. I quit going. There was a little controversy with my sister. We were in Canadian Girls in Training, and she had done her 5 years, but she was young, so she went off to work for the last year, and they wouldn't. The ladies who were running it wouldn't give her this accomplishment. You know, they wouldn't allow it to it, and my mother was very angry, and so I quit going to church. You know, any excuse will do whenever you go to church. Any excuse will do. So I started doing yoga. My aunt introduced me to a very simple yoga book. I took it home, and I did it every day, right away. And I think because I was a real physical kid, I did a lot of this kind of talked to me because there was physicalness to it. But you know, you meditated on a candle, and you learned alternate nostril breathing, and you did these things that were contemplative. And I did this for years and years and years, but nothing has really brought me relief from my own self-will, but this experience that I had, and then turning really to the dogma of religion. That has really been instrumental.
All right, so let's just pause it before we get to Bishop Barron's response. They're talking about prayer, and this is kind of something like a testimony of how she got to the place that she is, where she's come into the Catholic faith. But predicated upon what she just said, how would you respond to that? Leave a comment in the section below. My mind immediately goes to, and this isn't anything against Tammy Peterson. Maybe she hasn't formulated words to be able to explain her Christian faith quite yet, right? Religious dogma, I don't think is necessarily the way. It's not like you went from yoga to religious dogma, if you get what I'm saying. But here's what Bishop Barron has to say.
Right.
I don't know why exactly.
Well, I would say it's the difference between a kind of natural spirituality or natural religiosity and a properly supernatural one. So there, you know, in all the great religions of the world, you can find certain practices and certain spiritual styles that accomplish things for sure.
Right.
But as you say quite rightly, there's these dogmatic religions, and dogma is a bad word in our culture, but it's not.
It is, yeah.
But it's a wonderful meaning. God has spoken to us. God has revealed His face to us. So we would say in Christianity, I mean, God of course is a mystery, but He's not just this sort of vague, amorphous mystery. The mystery has a name, and the mystery has a face. You know, revealed to us, and it's in surrendering to that self-revelation. So we call that faith, that we find the real fireworks.
So the face is that Jesus Christ?
It's the face of Christ. Yeah. So Paul calls him the icon of the invisible God, which he catches exactly what I'm talking about. The invisible God. Sure, God remains invisible, mysterious, you know, but He's the icon. Now talk to our Eastern Orthodox friends, you know, the importance of icons. An icon is not just a nice picture. It's meant to draw you into the mystery, but precisely through this physical, you know, representation. And the reason we can do icons is that God made an icon of Himself in Jesus.
Yeah, so that's the local, right? I was talking about something spiritual, and that there has to be a local for us to be able to connect.
Yeah.
And so that's the
local. And that's the incarnation, you know, that God becomes flesh.
Yeah.
And it doesn't eliminate His mysteriousness. It intensifies it, really.
It does.
Intensifies it. But He's made an icon of Himself so that we can now, we can enter into that iconic reality. And if you want to say it this way, through it to the source.
Because I've being a Protestant, having Jesus as my Savior has been a process. It's still a process. And Mary, I was always in the Protestant church. I was wondering about Mary. I didn't see her there, and I didn't know why. And then I came to Catholicism. I thought, oh, there's Mary. When I was very, very ill, I had a cousin who didn't know I was ill, and once I was better, she phoned me. And I told her I was better, and it was nice to get a call, and it didn't matter if she didn't know what, you know.
Yeah.
She said, I'm going to send you something. And we went on tour. And when I came back, there was all this mail, and there was a letter from her. And in it was my great-grandmother's rosary. Yeah.
Is that how you started praying it?
I was praying it already in the hospital.
Yeah, okay.
I had a woman, she was merely just an acquaintance of ours. She contacted Jordan when he first became public. She was concerned about the school system in Toronto, and she was working with a politician, and they were trying to overturn things, make them in a better way. She's Catholic. She converted when she was at university. She went to Rome and had a spiritual experience, and she's very devoted. She is a counselor at a U of T Catholic dorm.
Oh, okay.
And all international schools
U
go
of T,
there.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, University of Toronto. And there's 2 chapels inside. And they all have dinner together. And so it's quite family-ish. These kids are coming from a long ways away, so they, make them feel at home. But I'd only met her now and then, and she'd leave something on our doorstep sometimes as a gesture. And when I was ill, I was in the hospital. I don't even know, I can't remember how she knew. She came with a rosary, and she said, do you want to pray this? And I said, yes.
Yeah.
And she came every day for 5 weeks at 10 in the morning.
And what was it, as you started praying the rosary, that so captivated you and got you hooked?
It was when we'd go in the Toronto General Hospital, there's an atrium that goes from the 4th floor right up to the sky. So it's a nice open place with lots of trees and benches, and people go there if they can, And so we went there every morning, and she taught me. It was really great because we would start the rosary sharing the words, and then she would say, we'd get to the first mystery, we'd read the mystery, she'd kind of explain it. She'd explain it to me, she wouldn't read it. And then she'd say, who do you want to pray for?
Yeah, right.
And I would, say my mother, and then I would cry for a good amount of time and tell her stories. And then we'd go to the second mystery, and she said, what's your intention? And then I'd tell another, then I'd cry and tell stories. So it took 2 hours a day. It took a long time. And that process of sharing, I think it was the sharing with her, really, because with any 2 or 3 people together, God is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that back then, but I know that now.
That's lovely.
What's so important to see about this is that meeting somebody in their need, the relationship is where God's love and compassion was felt, but it was tethered to a Christian practice. So it's not like one over the other, it's them together that helps people really find Jesus. And so I think that is so important. I think one of the things that's really interesting about this is you have Bishop Barron, who's this really, really intellectual type, right? And you have here, is it Tammy Peterson? Mrs. Peterson, we'll call her that. Extremely relational, not an intellectual person. I think going back, does she kind of understand Christianity? She certainly does, because once Bishop Barron started talking about her kind of ways of conceptualizing her Protestant upbringing and yoga, for 2 examples, when he started talking about and trying to make sense of what she was trying to say, she understood that he was trying to get to Christ. So the face is Christ? Yes, the face is Christ, the icon of the invisible God. Some people are really good at articulating those things, like Bishop Barron, and some of us, I'm certainly like Mrs. Peterson as well, it takes us a little while to kind of frame our thoughts. I totally am like her in the sense that it can be a little bit difficult to get out what I'm thinking. But if somebody says it, I totally know what they're saying, and I think that this is a perfect case. Like Bishop Barron, though, I think we should speak up. If you see somebody kind of talking about yoga or trying to make sense of their faith, point them back to the church teaching, point them back to Jesus, point them back to the one who can truly save them. Hopefully you can perceive everything that I'm perceiving in this video. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.